Hello students, welcome back. So in the previous session we were discussing about the prevention versus detection, and also we took one case study regarding unauthorized user logins. So in this particular session we'll be moving with the types of intrusion detection systems. Okay, so we'll be seeing many of the types of IDS are there. Okay, so in a real world, IDS monitors and mines hundreds of variables for interesting patterns. So we'll look forward what exactly meant by interesting patterns here. Okay, as you can see in the diagram, table, events of interest to an IDS. Okay, so what exactly the information or how it is monitoring over the system and what all information it's going to fetch, that we will see. Okay, so in the table, it shows a sample of variables together with a condition that may trigger an alert. So you can say this table gives you the basic functionality of IDS, which results in the alarm or the alert by the IDS. Some of the variables are bit patterns in the packet header or the packet payload, and other variables are counts of a certain occurrence within a time interval. So then we can next we just go for classification of IDS. So before moving to the types of IDS, we'll check what is what is the field or what is the information it is going to fetch and what result it is going to give. Or the best thing I can say, the easier way I can say is this table gives you the overall idea of the basic functionality of the IDS, that is intrusion detection system. So this table, events of interest to an IDS. So here events of interest is nothing but some of the variables are monitored over the network, and it is going to detect something in the sense what is exactly the possible attack that is going to happen, that is being detected by this intrusion detection system. So we'll see what all the interest events of interest to an IDS here. So just check over the table here. There are three columns: variable monitored, event of interest, and the possible attack. So what is the field it is going to monitor? What is the information it is going to monitor? Okay. And what is the event? Event is this event of interest is related to this variable that is monitored by the IDS. And from both of these information, that is variable monitored and the event of interest, it is going to detect what is the possible attack that has happened to the network. Okay, that is being monitored by the IDS here. So the first one, okay, number of access to a specific file. Suppose over the network, if number of access to a specific file is tenfold increase over the as usual, that is normal usual things. Okay, tenfold means here 10 times increase over the normal or usual activities. Suppose this number of access to a specific file is file has greater increase as of the normal, as of the usual activity, then it is going to um, detect this particular activity as a DOS attack or flash event. So DOS attack is nothing but the denial of service. So denial of service, anyhow we'll be studying in the next session. But briefly to say about the denial of services, it's a cyber attack in which the attacker seeks to make a machine or network resource unavailable to its intended users by temporarily or indefinitely disrupting resources or the services of a host connected to the internet. So if this happens, that is the variable that is monitored by IDS is if number of accesses to a file, specific file has a greater increase as of the usual activity, then it is going to guess this possible attack as a DOS attack or flash event. So what is flash event here? So flash event over the network is similar to DDoS attack. The DDoS is nothing but distributed denial of service attack. So similar to, it is similar to DDoS attack. We'll be discussing about this DDoS attack in the coming sessions. So to say about briefly, this flash event is similar to DDoS attack, in which large number of legitimate users start accessing a particular service concurrently, leading to the DOS attack. Okay, so that is about flash event. So this is the first thing. Okay, and the second thing, so what is the variable that is being monitored by IDS is login frequency to a particular account. So login frequency to a particular account, if unusually high, if it is higher than the usual activity, then it is being identified as a attempted breaking. That is, some login frequency to a particular account is not normal, it is very high. Okay, in that case it is being identified as a attempted break-in. Then the third one, the variable monitored, number of distinct source IP addresses of arriving packets. You just analyze this one. Number of distinct source IP addresses. Like packets are coming from uh, various source IP addresses. Okay, so he's talking about that. That is number of distinct source IP addresses of arriving packets. If it is very high, okay, if it is very high, then it is nothing but worm attack. So what is a worm attack now? So generally speaking, a worm is a standalone malware computer program that replicates itself in order to spread to other computers. So that is the possible attack that is being guessed by IDS here. Okay, if the number of distinct source IP addresses of arriving packets are very high than than the usual activities, then it is identified as a worm attack. And the fourth one is ratio of ARP. So ratio of ARP request packets to ARP response packets is greater than 1. Greater than 1 means it is very larger. If it is very large, if the because ratio, if ratio is equal to 1, then nothing has happened, everything is okay. Suppose if ratio of ARP request packets to ARP response packets is greater than 1, very greater than 1, then it is identified as network scan to identify local active host. So coming back to this one, what is ratio of ARP requests here? So ARP is again a protocol, that is address resolution protocol, and this is a communication protocol actually, and which is this is used for discovering the link layer addresses such as MAC addresses. Okay, so media access control addresses, that will be usually for IPv4, this one. But apart from that, this ARP, that is address resolution protocol, it's a communication protocol, and that is used for discovering the link layer address, for example MAC addresses. So that ratio where it identifies the link layer addresses such as MAC addresses, that ratio of, because there are two kinds of commands here, okay, packets here I can say. One is ARP request packets and another one ARP response packets. So both should be equal actually, then only the ratio will be 1 here. So ARP request, suppose ARP request is 1000, then at the same time the response package should also be 1000. Suppose if it is not equal, if it is greater, that is ratio of ARP request packets to ARP response packet is greater, then network scan to identify local local active host. So this network scan is nothing but, usually this network scan is possibly taken or performed by the attacker prior to the any attack. Okay, so this network scan refers to the use of a computer network to gather information regarding computer systems. Okay, getting what I'm saying? So network scan, this is done for getting to know the information about the computing systems. Okay, so this is usually done to identify the local active host. So this scanning, wherever the scan word comes here, network scanning, maybe here you can just see, I'll come to that, port scan. These scanning are performed prior to the attack by the hacker. Okay, so this is the possible attack that is going to be guessed by the IDS when this variable monitored uh, is going to happen. And the next one, a ratio of TCP SYN, that is SYN packets to TCP FIN packets. So usually we just call these as synchronized packets, and FIN packet is FIN is the command that is used for a smooth what is that, smooth finishing, or it's going to terminate the system systematically. Okay, that is what the fin packet. So here we'll check for fin packet and syn packet. So syn packets are nothing but synchronized packets. So usually we'll be discussing more on SIM packets and FIN packets while discussing DOS in the coming sessions. So to have a brief discussion here, so ratio of TCP SIM packets to TCP FIN packets is, again, if it is not equal to 1, then there must be something wrong in the system. So here this SIM this ratio of TCP synchronized packets, if these two are the flags actually. If these flags are set okay, then it is permitted to send the SYN packets. And if it is FIN packet is that flag is set, then it is going to gracefully, it is going to terminate the TCP connection. So this ratio of the synchronized packets and finishing packets is greater than 1, then also the attack that is going to guess, they're going to be guessed as a possible DOS attack. Then next is percentage of half open TCP connections. So percentage of half open TCP connections, if sudden surge in the percentage of half open TCP connections are going to happen, then it means that it is by the IDS, it's going to guess it as a DOS or distributed DOS attack. Then it comes to, so these first six are almost, they are predefined one. The next is TCP header flags. That is, if the TCP header flags are having any invalid combination. So invalid combination, if it has TCP header flags, then it is the possible attacks is going to be port scan or OS fingerprinting. So what is a port scan here? So port scan is an attack that sends client requests to a range of server port addresses on a host with the goal of finding an active port, okay, and exploiting a known vulnerability of that particular service. So that is nothing but port scan. Okay, so where the attacker is going to, or he's more interested in finding out a particular host and having a goal of finding an active port and exploiting a known vulnerability of that particular service. So that is nothing but port scanning. Again, port scanning is also done prior to any of the attack by the hacker. So this is port scanning. And what about the OS fingerprinting? So OS fingerprinting is nothing but, it refers to the detection of the operating system of an end host by analyzing packets which originate from that particular system. So usually this OS fingerprinting is used by the hackers for mapping remote networks and determining which vulnerability might be present to exploit. So this port scanning and OS fingerprinting will be guessed if the TCP header flags are having any invalid combination. Okay. And next is TCP connection establishment. That is unused destination port. Suppose the TCP connection establishment has any of the unused destination port as of the previous history, then it is a attempt to find which services are open. Okay. Then payload of incoming packet. So payload of incoming packet, if it has a specific bit sequence present, then it's a specific worm attack. As I told, like worm attack, but it is very specific to a particular attack here, or a particular worm attack. Then OS calls, in that the variable monitored is operating system calls. In that particular sequence of calls, if it is uh, if any event of the interest is, if it is particular sequence of calls is different rather than the previous history, then it is nothing but specific virus attack. So worm attack, virus attack is also uh, as same as worm attack, where this virus is going to replicate and and just replicate in, and it also affects the other system also. So the possible examples of virus attack is blaster, slammer. I think you must have heard about code red. And very interesting one is the worm attack that has happened in the year 1982. That worm is, sorry, virus is nothing but elk cloner, and that was written by a high school student, which attacked the Apple II computers via the floppy disk. I think you must have heard about this virus attack. So this is about events of interest to an IDS. Okay, and then coming to the classification of intrusion detection system. Okay, so there are two types of uh, intrusion detection systems based on their functionality. One is the anomaly versus signature based IDS, and the second one is host based versus network based IDS. The anomaly versus signature based IDS is, first is anomaly based IDSs. These are the types based on their functionalities. They are being classified. So one is anomaly based intrusion detection involves making a determination whether the behavior of the system is a statistically significant departure from the normal. So what do you mean by departure from normal? That is statistically significant departure from normal is like behavior of the system will be calculated based on some mathematical values based on suppose for example graph representation. Okay, suppose if it is linear, then it begins with the low value to the higher value. Okay, if it is a curve, then it will go to the peak point and then it starts reducing. So based some kind of behavior of the system will be represented using statistical values. If any change in the statistical values or the representation of the statistical values as of the normal, then it is nothing but it has been monitored by the IDS, and this kind of IDS are known as anomaly based IDS. Okay, and the IDS will have to learn over time what constitutes normal activity, usage, and behavior. That is what I said. It is based on the statistics. Statistics is based on the previous or the values over time collected over time, or the activities collected over time, and the usage and behavior exhibited by the systems over time, that is being collected, and based on that some representation will be done, and if any change in that representation, then it is going to be identified by the IDS, that is anomaly based IDS. So in the previous slide, first six conditions are examples of anomaly based IDS would monitor the number of access to a specific file, then login frequency, number of distinct sources of IP addresses of arriving packets, okay, then ratio of ARP request packets to ARP response packets, ratio of TCP synchronized packets to TCP finishing packets. So all these are the examples of anomaly based IDS, what it is going to monitor. Suppose consider the monitoring the number of TCP sync packets with synchronized flag set and fin packets in each successive 10-second interval, for example. Okay, that is what the values will be collected based collected for the interval of 10 seconds here, and those values will be represented. If any changes or any deviation in the representation, then it is going to identify as a some threat or something wrong has happened with the system. So here a disproportionate number of SIM packets versus FIN packets indicate several half-open TCP connections and possibly the onset of a SIM flooding attack. It is going to result in a SIM flooding attack. So what is SIM flooding attack? It's a form of DOS attack in which the attacker sends a succession of SYN requests to a target system in an attempt to consume enough server resources to make the system unresponsive to legitimate traffic. The hacker is going to have a control over the system, and he is going to um, make this make the use of the resources of the target system. So this is about anomaly based IDS, and as a pair of it, the signature based IDS. The signature based intrusion detection, these are also called as misuse detection. These will be working by identifying specific patterns of events or behavior that indicate or accompany an attack. Okay, so this is totally based on the patterns. So each such pattern is called as a signature. So a signature based IDS maintains a database of known signatures, and it attempts to obtain a match between currently observed behavior of the system and an entry in this database. That is what the current value will be compared with the value that is, or the entry that is available in the database. If it is having any mismatch over it, then it is going to define or identify it as a separate pattern, and that pattern is nothing but the signature. So a real world signature based IDS will have thousands of attack signatures against which to compare. For example, attacking signature attack is a specific bit sequence in a worm payload. If, for example, like worm payload, where is it? Uh, Somewhere payload. There was their own payload. Okay. Payload of incoming packet, that is specific bit sequence present. So this is one example of a signature based. These are the down one after sixth one. These are all connected to signature based attack. Signature based IDS. Okay. So if for that example, it is possible that the spread of the worm has caused much network traffic congestion and greatly increased CPU utilization on infected machines. So this is about signature-based IDS. Okay. And moving to the next one, host-based versus network-based IDS is. Um, An IDS that captures information about packets flowing through the network is referred to as a network-based IDS. For example, for reasons of performance, it is common to have standalone appliances that perform network-based intrusion detection. So these typically run only on IDS and are hence not vulnerable to various worm and virus attacks. So this is about network-based IDS. And host-based IDS is it is typically implemented in software and resides on top of the host operating system. Its main job is to monitor the internal behavior of the host, such as a sequence of the system calls made, or the files accessed, or any other information. For this purpose, it makes use of the system logs to fetch the information like sequence of system calls made, the files accessed. To fetch these informations, it is going to make use of the system logs, application logs, and operating system and other components to identify the events related to intrusion. So here operating system logs, for example, keep track of when users logs in and the number of unsuccessful login attempts, the commands executed, the network connections made, etc. So the application logs keep track of which files have been opened or which registry keys have been accessed during the run of an application. So here the file system integrity checkers, for example, computes a cryptographic hash on the contents of each file. So they detect the file changes by comparing the computed hash of a file to its stored hash. So this is about host-based IDS. So these are the types of IDS what we discussed. Thank you.